Welcome back, everybody, and this is your host, Jay Klein, and of course, we're back for another episode of Anime Talks. Now, we are returning back to a previous series from the last episode, and we'll be jumping right back into Code Geass Season 2. Now, before we get into it, we will be doing like a backtrack of where we left off at, as far as like a little bit of bridging and catching up, and that is under the understanding that you have completely watched Season 1 going into Season 2, so we just cover a little bit of like small little plot points before giving the review actual like standpoint of where Season 2 like kind of takes off. So just get locked and loaded. It's a lot of information. This is probably going to be a little bit of a longer podcast than the previous ones because I would love to like talk so much about how Season 1 shapes up Season 2, and I can actually like drop this not a spoiler because you should have watched Season 1 before checking this podcast out. Now, in Season 1, we do finish off with a lot of different things happening with the code Geass, or the Geass of Lelouche, is the ability for him specifically to be able to compel anybody to do anything he wants to do at least one time. He gets this ability from C2 at the beginning, I want to say between the first two episodes, when there is a terrorist attack from the Japanese, the Area 11s, who are just 11s, who are trying to thwart and take down Brittania. Now, moving further from that, the next plot point that's pretty important is Suzaku. He is Lelouch's best friend, who has gone down his own road and journey to become an honorary Brittania, so he can be able to serve the country better. And this is off the curtail of him in a previous life, meaning his younger, when he was younger, he was the killer and murderer of his father, who was like a diplomatic leader of the Japanese. Now, it was covered up to where nobody, like, that thing wasn't exposed, but moving further from that, that is what happened, and that's Suzaku's standpoint. As far as along the lines of Season 1, that is revealed later on during Season 1. We also have Nunnally, who is also, blind and disabled. She's crippled in a wheelchair most of, Season 1, and, there's a lot of things that I won't be able to say, but Season 2 shapes up for her, in that regard. We are met with the defeat of both Clovis and Euphemia, which are both siblings of Lelouch. Lelouch, during the process of his rebellion, Lelouch did indirectly take out a lot of different people. His little crush girl, Shirley, who's madly in love with him, she, by far, ends up having the most ties with Lelouch throughout the course of Season 1, going into Season 2. In Season 1, we are met with Shirley's father being killed during one of the rebellion attacks, which was an order directly from Lelouch, who's donning his zero. I have to say alter ego, but he's masked up as Zero at the time. So once he finds out, once he gets back to school about that, Shirley takes a huge turn, as far as a character plot, once her father dies. Now, moving forward from that, we are also seeing Lelouch is getting in a situation where he's tied up with, like, just too many things and too many inconveniences, and that's not to say like the small slice of life, school entanglements that are happening. But moving further, there's so many people that are now breaking out of the Geass spell that have done what they're supposed to do under his command, and then things are taking a different turn. So we are met with Ogi, who's also Lelouche's right-hand man, part of the rebellion, who ends up meeting up with Valletta, who's also part of the Brittanian who ends up having like a concussion and forgetting everything about herself and is madly in love with Ogi. And they have a lot of stuff going on as well that leads to a lot of internal conflict that definitely takes a deep root and spreads out to season 2. And then we also have Nina Einstein, who is a very, very, very special little girl who ends up undergoing a lot of crazy psychotic changes once the death of Yuffie happens, because she looks up to Yuffie. Once Yuffie dies, she has an ongoing onslaught of revenge that she wants to take out on Zero. Now, a lot was said there. There's a lot going on, and of course, I don't want to forget, we do have Colin. Colin is Zero's right-hand woman, who by far has the best combat skills to rival Suzaku in the course of the whole show. And Colin is by far Zero's most devoted and devout follower. And I love Colin. Colin by far is probably one of my favorite characters in the show. She sees such a very interesting blind faith belief in Lelouch throughout the whole show. And she wavers a little bit, but she keeps it together. She did great. Now, of course, along the way, now to cover smaller plot points that are inside that, we do find out within season 1 that there are a lot of different Geass powers bestowed onto people, and there is also different, I guess you could say, I'm gonna say Geass monsters, but Geass holders that are allowed to make pacts with other people outside of C2. We end up meeting V2, who's able to also bestow powers. But the next person that we do see with a Geass power is, in fact, this guy that is madly in love. I forgot the guy's name, but he's like madly in love with C2. And she pretty much raised him, sadly, and then he's in love with her. But he has the ability to read minds, but the problem he has is he's undergoing a huge problem of being able to, like, shut out enough stuff that's going on. That's the only thing that's kind of bad with him, you know? Like, he has a very, very, very sad ending. Well, like, it's weird. He has a weird situation going on with him. But, nonetheless, moving forward, we run into a lot of situations that are broken down within people's power with Geass. The one thing that with the Geass power that does come over time is the ability to go berserk and lose yourself within the power, which is very, very, very important. And we end up seeing this happen to not only the little crazy guy that I gotta get this man's name before I forget it. But before I never say it, part of this episode. But we end up running into a lot of situations with berserkness or berserk coming about, and that does occur within the show with Lelouch. Lelouch ends up going berserk, and by all means, he not only goes berserk, but ends up being able to activate the ability without meaning to, which this is what happened between him and Yuffie when they were doing the Japanese order, where they were doing the dropping the segregation and making an honorary area that unified Japanese and Britannians or whoever that was in there. And that was probably one of the saddest moments in the first season, where we do see Yuffie being controlled by the Geass to kill all the Japanese, and that was, and what that, it was just, you have to watch it. But as the exchange that was had, she was asking, how does your power work? And then he says, I can make it work easily. All I have to do is just tell the person what to do. And then he gives an example, and then it works. And it's one of the saddest moments of the show by far, because you just knew things were just going downhill from there as soon as, the order was given. And I just finally got the guy's name. The guy's name is Mal. That was so hard to do. The guy's name is Mal, who is the other guy who has the Geass to be able to read minds. But moving forward beyond that, now, one more plot point that is very important that we don't want to miss out on is, of course, the whole goal of Lelouch is to create a rebellion to take down Brittania to get to his father, which is the Emperor. The Emperor is by far the biggest baddie of all baddies in this show. And as far as season 1 goes, the biggest baddie. And he is trying his best to get in there and take down this man so he can find out who killed his mother, or just trying to see what happened to his mother and why the father just didn't do what he was supposed to do to protect the mom, right? There's a lot of stuff going on with there. Now, moving away from that, season 1 has all these internal conflicts going on at one time. We are met with a lot of different things, like Lelouch and his rebellion. He's able to recruit so many different people. He isn't recruiting like the 4 knights of the little Japanese group to kind of help him out. And there's just so much that is going on with all the ties he's able to make. He's able to get Rikshada, which is a really awesome scientist that does a lot of R&D type of work on their, I'm not going to say Gundams, I'm going to sound ridiculous saying that, but all their battle units. That's the best way to word it right now. And there's just a lot of stuff with who he gets in to get in. And then I also don't want to forget, we are missing, Marisha's name is Lionheart or Reinhardt. If it's one of the two, but it is this guy who is very much so crazy. He's madly crazy about, he's madly crazy over the development that Zero has, and then he's just tied in. He's a little news, journalist reporter, and he just goes nuts. You know what I mean? The guy is in love with what Lelouch does. He's ridiculous, so it's one of those you gotta see. He has a whole he acts crazy. There's nothing else I could say about that. But outside him, like I said, the cast is huge, and there's a lot of people that play a huge part in it. And there's small little points that are going on. There is a guy that got banished out and was not deemed worth a damn anymore because Lelouch was able to make him stand down and not help fight. And then the guy goes on a huge rampage, and he ends up being worked on and given superpowers, and then he has his own plot point in season 2 as well that gets developed. And matter of fact, he gets hit with this. What does he turn him to do? He turns him to being able to say Agent Orange or something like that, and just this orange directive that's going on, but really it isn't. But then he's called Orange for the rest of the show, and it's horrible. It makes you laugh just a little bit, because he's taken down horribly bad. It's funny to me. It's kind of sad for him, but it is what it is. Now, moving to Season 2, so as we could cross over there. At the end of Season 1, we are met with the capture of Lelouch, and Lelouch is now taken into custody, and he is most definitely undergoing some very interesting events that we are finally able to see, where we do have the Emperor, which is his father, rewrite hidden memories and place him under a bunch of different situations. He clears Lelouch's memories, and Lelouch is now back at school. And I'm not going to lie. When I watched this episode of the opening of Season 2, I was confused because they did such a good job at doing called the light thing and all that. You really kind of didn't see that much like that. They just opened up. You really thought you were like rewatching the whole show all over again. And I had to like pause it, look, and make sure that I wasn't tripping. So they did a great job at executing that. They kept it in line with making you think, okay, I'm missing something. And I actually stopped, went back and rewatched the previous episode, ending of Season 1, just to make sure that I really watched what I watched. So Season 2, great way of opening. Y'all will enjoy that. It will throw you off. The way it starts up is pretty good, and then we do see the minor difference right at the beginning. Lelouch is met with a brother instead of a sister. His sister is not only that memory was erased, that he does not have a sister named Nunnery, and that his life as Zero isn't a thing. He wasn't Zero, but he knows of Zero. Now, Lelouch is still Lelouch. He still has this little gambling problem. He is like a gambling expert, only under the terms of being able to play chess against people. So, instead of him and Rivel leaving together at the beginning of the show, from Season 1, he leaves with Rolo, which is a brother that has a very extensive tie later on into the show that I can't say too much about. You have to watch it. Rolo is a very interesting and important figure that changes Lelouch so much in the show. Now, where they go to kind of like how Season 1 opened up. He goes to go gamble against this baddie, and he ends up taking this little guy down. But during the process, there is an attack that's done. Come to find out, again, I was most definitely confused about what's going on. But then we are met with the Black Knight Rebellion members making an attack on this casino area. And their goal is to get Lelouch back. C2 does end up meeting with Lelouch and being able to give him, like, touch his hand and be able to, I guess, nullify the Geass and get his memories back. Now, from that point, we are now met with an even bigger problem. Lelouch is undergoing pretty much a covert mission the whole time of most of the season, where he pretends that he never got his memories back, while also conducting all business as Zero, which is very interesting because he ends up getting a lot of people involved with that. There was one person that was left out of Season 1 that I didn't mention, but there is a maid. If you did watch Season 1, you do know what I'm talking about. There's a maid that is also an undercover, like, kick-ass agent, by the way, that serves Nunnally in Lelouch. She is also brought in to handle being Lelouch's double whenever he needs to step out and go do whatever. And she is just amazing. Don't have her name offhand. She is most definitely still outside of like the little small role of playing like the double and doing like a few things here and there. I think her name is Sayako. I could be wrong. I believe her name is Sayako. But outside of that, everything kind of just goes just according to that for most of the show. Now, season 2 also has some interesting development across the board of all people. Shirley gets closer to awkwardly finding out the double truth, I guess you could say, of her involvement with Lelouche being tied to Zero. She ends up finding a note that she wrote to Lelouche in her previous memory, or before her wiping of her memory, that she knew who he was. There's also the fact that Suzaku, which is very important, Suzaku is the one who captured Lelouche, and Suzaku is also one of the highest tier of knights that directly, Knights of the Round that is directly under the Emperor's rule. So, Suzaku is now tasked with staying at the school now just to watch Lelouch. Now, the only thing is, Suzaku does not know that he has his memories back. Super crazy situation that's going on here where the two guys that are like going head to head, but who are also best friends, really aren't, like, they're really just living like a very interesting life. Moving forward, executing different things, but they're like right under each other's noses at the same school all the time. Now, the craziest situation that does come from out of that is Lelouch is executing all these different things, while also we do have the oldest brother, or one of their brothers, we have Schneasel, who ends up coming out, who is by far, super smart. Like, Schneasel is amazing. Schneasel is the only person that Lelouch also points out that he can't beat. Schneasel is, like, who also works under the Emperor, and ends up abandoning what the Emperor says due to caring more about the people. Schneasel has a very interesting background. He's not really mean. He's more or less, like, by the book, but by the book meaning people first. Very, very interesting. I end up liking Schneasel, sorta, kinda. And this overall, like, throughout the show, you end up having this one thing about yourself where you're just like, I want to be with Lelouch as long as I can. But you kinda can't. Later on, you kinda can't. You see so much stuff, and then you're just like, okay, I don't even know who's signable. I just now want to, like, I want this over with. But, for the most part, the rest of the show does go according to that formula where we have Suzaku and Lelouch working against each other, doing their things and getting them where they need to be able to handle whatever they're supposed to do. Now, we are met with a lot of other different changes with the characters where the Black Knights are undergoing, where they don't really believe so much in Lelouch anymore because Lelouch did abandon them at one point, and not necessarily abandon them the way we think. So it's just one of those situations where he just abandoned the whole operation to go save Nominally. This does happen at the end of season 1, which is how he got caught. The Black Knights are most definitely under distress of wondering if their leader is actually going to hang in there, because Lelouch never explained why he left them at that time. He just did it, and now I completely understand where they're coming from with that. It's just one of those things where you just don't know, and what can you do about it? They just can't do nothing about it, and most of them doesn't even know who he is, and that's like another big turning point of season 1 and season 2, that they do all these things and they just don't know what he looks like. So, like, how can we follow a guy and we don't even know what he looks like? and would just blindly follow him. That does happen a lot. There's almost like a great mutiny that's going on within the Black Knights to see if they can even trust Lelouche anymore, or trust Zero, so to speak. And the overall season 2 definitely has like a lot of tie-ins that they do fix and answer out of season 1. I do like how season 2 is just a direct, amazing. It's an amazing show. Again, one of my buddies at work did recommend for me to watch this, and I've been in love with it ever since the first episode of season 1, and where we finally knocked out season 2 a couple weeks ago, and I've been waiting to be able to talk about this as well. I binge watched all of it. It was awesome. I think there was a few times where I stayed up a lot longer than I should when I had to go to work the next day, or however it panned out. Like whether I was on days and nights, I was just like hammering out these episodes because I love this show. The show's really good. There's so much in it. I like the way that the plot point for everybody has some type of tie that does affect the other characters. Like just the intertwining spider web of roles make this show so good. You will love it. You love it. And there's, of course, I did forget one more person. I did forget her name slightly. She is the other sibling of Lelouche, the older sister of Euphemia. And I'm slightly forgetting her name right now at the moment. But she is by far, she's tough. I think her name is Cornelia. If I'm right, I could be wrong. But her name, she plays a very interesting role too. I want to make sure I cover her because I feel like if I don't, I wouldn't be doing the show any justice. I like missing out on Cordelia. Cornelia is by far one of another big baddie that handles a lot of everything, and she actually takes care of a lot of things post Yuffie being killed, and then ends up finding out that her brothers and indeed Zero. There's just a lot of stuff going on there. There's a lot of stuff. Now, season 2, the development of season 2 is incredible. Nunley ends up being Viceroy in season 2, and she's be able to make questions, but they make decisions. But the bad thing is, she's also being under control, technically. Like, she's just, put there as a puppet, while everybody else makes control. Big moves, like the Emperor and whoever else is, directly under the Emperor that's put in charge. And sadly, Nunley ends up finding, Nunley and Zero have their head-to-head thing, and there's just so much going on there. The show has a lot of emotional just cry-outs that just make you really get involved with it. If you would like to have a good plot that just covers so much stuff, there's a lot of political things, there's a lot of emotional things, there's a lot of action, there's just a lot of, I'll say this for sure. If the show had no action, plot alone, I would still watch it. That's just how good the show is. It draws you in, and you just want to know more. You want to know what's going to happen next, and you're just ready. You are just ready. Now, outside of being just ready for more, it did hit me pretty hard. Hit me at home when I realized that there's only 2 seasons. So, enjoy these seasons. Enjoy these seasons back to back. Enjoy yourselves. Don't let it hurt your feelings all too much, like it did for me. It looked like there was a season 3. I'm just help you out if you're on Crunchyroll watching this. In season 3, it was shown that there's another season that is not a season. That is, all the episodes in movie form. They put it into 2 or 3 movies or whatever. for you to be able to watch all of the ones that is only in 2 movies. It's like, they're both like almost 2 hours long, I think. Don't be confused. It's everything. Just a movie form. My feelings were hurt. I was really excited to click it, and I was like reading it, and then I was like, oh, okay, this is where we at. So I watched this already. Now, season 2, just, again, has so much development. The character development is crazy. World building, which also has to do with character development. Everything's getting bigger. There's a lot of different things that are occurring where Lelouche pulls kind of like not a Noah's Ark thing, but like a Moses thing, and leads the people off to like a different nation. He was able to kind of get everybody off, and they stage the new base of operations. It is elsewhere. I want to say it's in the Chinese Federation, if I'm correct. But that happens as well, which means like at some point all the Japanese are able to leave and start a new life. There's just a lot of stuff that's happening, and we just see so much, and there's so much interaction, and season 2 just has an abundance of plot twists and an abundance of. You need to, like, sit there and, like, pay attention to, again, this is not no anime that you just sit there and just be like, okay, I'm gonna have it on, and I'm cleaning dishes. No. Cleaning dishes first and leave them off to the side. You have to watch this. You have to watch all of it in its entirety. And I hate to say comprehend. It's like, you just have to, like, indulge and, like, absorb it all, because it's so much. Your mind will be blown with how an anime like this is able to, like, still keep you hooked on. And like I said in the previous episode, be prepared, this show is a little dated. This show came out, like, 2011, 2012. It came out a while back, so if you can forgive that, everything's gonna be good. Geass, by far, one of my favorite. No, I'm wrong. It came out in 2007. So, that, like, if you can, like, ride on with that, everything's good. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. It's amazing, and you won't regret watching any of it. Just like I did. I enjoy every bit of it. From what I've done research on, there are like 2 different things that I can go watch. There's a thing called like Recode, and I don't know if that's a show and or reading material, but there are stuff that's still tied in with the show that I can go get into watching. So we may see the rise of another iteration of this. I don't know. I'm not sure yet. I will be doing some further research to bring out some more Code Geass information, and I tried to attach that to this so we can be able to have more things, right? Because Code Geass, again, is just so good, and this probably been a while since I was able to tag in back to back seasons or something, not mainly because I watch a lot at a time, but there's so much information that's thrown at you in this show. There's no way I was going to be able to, like, watch something else, and then do podcast of this, podcast something else, and then come back to this. I would have forgot everything that I wanted to even talk about. So, again, thank y'all so much for checking this out. Definitely give this a watch. The plot points of season 2 are just a bigger and deeper dig and dive into season 1's like leftovers, really. And there's only so much I can say other than to give the same amount of energy of like touching on season 1 things. Hence why I did it that way, because if I say way too much more into any part of season 2, it would be spoiling, and that's not the correct way to be able to do a review like this. Only because these are reviews to get you to watch the show, not to tell you any parts that make that like give up too much, or you can't watch it and enjoy it. Right? Now, towards the end of season 2, you'll love the way it's orchestrated and conducted, as far as like all the hard work that was put into the efforts of all the characters, mainly Lelouche and Suzaku. There's just so much that's happening towards the end, and a lot of tie-ins, a lot of death, a lot of like blood, sweat, and tears that all the characters have finally put together to come up with the finale and how they finish off season 2. Now, definitely be prepared for it. There's like it's huge. It's very emotional, but while also like staying true to all the factors that's going on within the show. So again, thank y'all all for tuning in. This is Anime Talks. This is your host, Jay Klein, and hopefully we can find this material, because I want to drop another Code Geass video to go behind this. But if I can't find it, you already know, or y'all already know, that there's a lot of other things I'm watching too. There's 2 other shows I finished up for season 1. We will have those coming up soon. And then, of course, I know that I could have added this at the beginning, but I do want to, heavily apologize for the delay of this by, another week. This episode was supposed to come out last week, but, just a lot of things, trying to catch up on a lot of episodes and life happening. So, I do thank y'all all for tuning in and catching up on other episodes. The growth of this channel has been blowing up so much, because just people still go in, click, and catch up and watch or listen, and it's big. It's big. We always see good growth numbers every week, and I appreciate it, because without y'all, we wouldn't be where we're at today with being in the top 50 of anime and manga for the United States. So again, thank y'all so much, and until next time.